We call this meeting of the Design Review Board to order. Today is the 1st of May, 5:30. Peter Gaffer?
Present.
Stephen Green?
Here.
Todd Conklin?
Here.
Michael McPartland?
Here.
Frank Davis is excused. John Sky?
Present.
And somebody named Vacant? Okay. Staff would like to inform all, let me see, I gotta get my microphone closer. Sorry. Staff would like to inform all applicants that all applications on this DRB agenda will require a building permit or a sign permit, and that Design Review Board approval does not necessarily reflect the views and policies of the State Historical Preservation Office, which controls decisions impacting tax status of designated contributing historic properties. Please review SHPO's policies, and if necessary, contact them directly before making any exterior changes to your property. Call to the public. We do not have anybody signed up, so we're going to go directly to agenda item 1, selection of a chair and vice chair from among the members of the, or a temporary chair for this meeting only.
I'll make a motion that we postpone the election of a chair until we have a full 7-member board. And I also would ask my colleague Michael McPartland to serve as the temporary chair for this meeting, since he is an experienced chair in the past.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, done.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Take over, Michael.
Okay, and just to clarify, Mr. Booth, as we start, yeah, thanks, John. We do not have a city council liaison here again,
We don't?
because this is 3 or 4 meetings now that we've had without a city council liaison, and particularly in light of Commissioner Gaffner's statement and comments we brought up before about getting a full commission nomination through the council and mayor. I'm concerned that we have no council liaison to liaison with. Is there any limit as to how many times the city council member can be absent before we can request another liaison who will show up?
I don't believe there is. We can ask Nina, but we need to stay on the agenda.
Okay. Moving right along. Then to agenda item 2. This is application 19-19 and the Bisbee Residential Historic District, contributing property 720, 949 West Boulevard. This is an application for remodeling the structure, including a small addition in the rear. Is there someone here to represent this application tonight?
Al had contacted me yesterday, I believe it was, or this morning, and said that he was having there was a big Firewise meeting at his house tonight. And so I told him that I would do my best to represent him.
Okay. Go to Mr. Ward.
You got the packet there that shows that Al, he's already put in a retaining wall in time. That I think you guys have probably seen. After that was installed, I talked with him and he never realized it was something that required DOT approval, but he is asking for a retro approval on that. He's changing out windows, and he's putting a small addition in the back, and he's changing the portion of the building that is slump block. He's changing it to a big appearance that is more compatible with the gypsum block that the original historic portion of the building was built with. Any questions?
Questions, Commissioners?
So he's trying to make this little brick section here look more like the rest of the house.
Yes. And then at the end of his packet, you see how he was intending to do that. how it's going to be, I'm trying to think what they call that, like a sap stucco, I think they call that.
Are you familiar with that process, Mr. Ward, or that technique?
I've never seen it done. I've seen houses in Europe that look similar, but
Do you have a particular opinion about its feasibility or viability? Just in terms of what the result will look like?
I think they look pretty much like the pictures that you have there. But, I think that looks at least as good as the slump block that was used on the addition.
Commissioner
Yes,
Gasper?
Mr. Ward, I'm familiar with the term EIFS, the I standing for insulation. Is this a built-up? Is there going to be insulation and then a rendering on the outside of it?
I
Or is
think
this just
there
a
will, I
flat?
think that with that system that there always is the insulation,
Yeah,
and then it's a synthetic stucco.
I see, on top of it.
Yeah.
Other questions or concerns for the applicant's representative?
You got anything?
I was just, we've been seeing a lot of this block, you see it around here and there, but I'm a little unclear as to whether we're actually, what the guidelines, I was looking in the guidelines to see, have you looked at what the thoughts are in this pamphlet on those interlocking blocks? Have you seen
The retaining wall one?
Yeah. They're inner key
We allowed
blocks.
the design review board has allowed them in other instances, but whether it's appropriate to put on the front of a building, of a lot, would be your call.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, Commissioner, your question is about the retaining wall
Yeah,
material used?
These blocks here.
Okay, so we're talking about the retaining wall?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a particular concern about them?
No, I'm not concerned about it, I just, when I was looking through these before, they don't really give you a lot of options, but I think since this booklet's been put together, we've gotten more options, so, I was just wondering what, anyone's thought was on it, they looked through this, because I didn't get a chance to look at it.
A number of years ago, the board had looked at what materials are going to be appropriate for retaining walls. And amongst those that were looked at were the castle blocks, like that. And I don't think Michael, you were there, I'm sure. Do you remember there being an issue with that? I remember the gabions was if they were in the front of historical properties, there may be a concern, but there hasn't been up to now. But it seems like that was what the consensus was on that.
This is something, the discussion you're saying we had, or a decision in the last several years?
It was several years ago, looking at about what the board was going to consider as being usable in the district for retaining walls.
To be frank, I'm not recalling a conversation like that. It could have been before I was serving.
It could have been then.
But if there's precedent where we've approved this particular type of material, I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Sky, which is, again, the existing material that we have available for the public is not current and comprehensive to reflect what our general material approvals are. It covers a fair amount, but not exhaustively. So it makes it a little unclear if we're using discretion or if we're actually abiding by an existing practice and policy. In this case, we have approved this being used before.
Yes.
But I think at a point that we move forward on updating the manual, this is yet one more of the list of things we've talked about with you, Mr. Ward, that we want to make sure we're clear and address and document. So we move from seeming discretionary to something we have voted on, agreed to, and then ask the city council to also adopt when we send a revised handbook or guidelines to them. I don't know if that addresses your concern, but.
Yeah, because in this book, it basically, it says, a great part of the Old Bisbee's charm and appeal is provided by the profusion of the different types of residential walls and retaining walls. Walls may be built with native stone, with or without mortar, poured concrete, or concrete block, veneered with native stone or brick concrete block. May also be stuccoed in a neutral color in some cases. Do not leave concrete block unveneered. Fences and walls are of special importance to our historic preservation efforts in Bisbee. So that's the only reason I was asking.
Yeah.
Because I know they're around, I see them around, and they're cool, but.
I think that's probably addressing on block walls like it's in front of Todd's house. You know, like I took the 8816,
Yeah.
We have the
you know,
meeting
cinder
here.
block.
They told us to be here.
That looks too modern. But whether or not you guys think that the castle block is appropriate,
Yeah.
you guys would have to decide.
What I'm a little frustrated about is retroactive. I'm like, it's frustrating whenever stuff like this comes up and then, you know, we're forced to, there's no decision to be made because it's already been set, but
Well,
once
you
again.
were actually there, weren't you?
I was, and it was already up.
I know it was already up. Do you feel like it's inappropriate though?
I think it's a modern concept. I think because the structure is block already, I think it is semi-appropriate, but yeah, it doesn't blend in, you know.
Have you seen it up at Ken Butch's house?
Well, there's one up there by Michael McPartland's house also. There's one, you know, and
Yeah.
it's a good example of it. Yeah, it looks good, but, you know, I'd rather see, of course, stone or even 8x8x16, so there's more examples of that around.
I think it looks better than 8816s, but
I agree.
that's only one person's opinion. I'm not even on the board, so it doesn't matter. I shouldn't say.
And we're just getting in,
I shouldn't say
we're
that.
just talking here, but,
Yeah.
as far as the wall, there's nothing else that can be done, things up.
Yeah.
Are there other questions or
No, sir.
comments about the application?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Scott, thank you, Commissioner Conklin.
I'm ready to make a motion to approve application
Who decided?
19-19 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve with a second. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Okay, application's approved as submitted. Okay, moving on to agenda item 3. This is application 19-22 in the Bisbee Commercial Historic District. It's an unnumbered contributing property. The address is 108 Upper Main Street. And this is an application to remodel the exterior of the property at 108 Tombstone Canyon by replacing some siding and existing non-code compliant stairs. Is there someone here to represent the application?
Yes.
Thank you. If you could come up here and give us a brief overview.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, what we basically want to do is, there's a photo of the existing stone landing and 8x8x16 block stairs, which are too narrow and dangerous for people to be going up and down. And we want to bring them up to code with wooden, treated wood framing members and Trex decking on top. Pretty basic. And then the siding, I found a place in Oregon that will mill the same kind of teardrop siding to be replaced. It's pretty simple, pretty basic.
Are you replacing all the siding?
No, just the rotten stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's great, you're using the teardrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
It's probably maybe 20 square feet of stuff we gotta order, that's it. But we want to keep it, you know, identical.
Which we appreciate. Were there other questions for the applicant?
No.
You know, I'll make a motion to, approve application 1922 as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
right along, we're on agenda item 4. This is application 19-25 in the Bisbee Commercial Historic District. Unmentioned, so it's not clear it's possibly a non-contributing structure, Mr. Ward? I see it says unmentioned, so I'm going to
The way that the commercial district, if you looked at that, it didn't have numbers for them. In the commercial district, there are no numbers on the structures. And this one wasn't mentioned when they're listing all the structures. So what I've always drawn from that conclusion is, my conclusion that I've come to is that the ones that were contributing are the ones that are on the list, and the non-contributing are not on the list. This one is not on the list, but it is a historical building, built in the period.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And this application is seeking retroactive approval for the replacement of windows at 52A Main Street. This is adjacent to and east of the Busy Bee City parking lot. Is there someone here to speak to this application? And just are all commission members clear where this building is? This is a residential structure behind Main Street.
The Crystal Palace.
As one of its reputations as the Crystal Palace, that helps you locate it.
I almost put that on the.
I don't think that would be appropriate.
So you guys could know where, because I was trying to let you know. And that's kind of,
Why can't we have any fun, huh?
the,
So, where's Robert Willis? Is he-
Well, I gather you're representing the applicants because he's not here.
Are you representing the Crystal Palace?
what's that?
Are you representing the Crystal Palace?
That's a previous incarnation. He's representing the new owner.
All right,
Mr. Ward.
I'll put
What they've done
aside.
is they went in there and they've replaced the existing windows with horizontal sliding windows. And I put a stop work order on the building, which was tore off.
Oh,
And then I eventually I sent it up to, I put another one up, and I sent one to Mr. Willis. And, so then he responded.
So it
He
sounds like
he asserts that since the windows that he took out were sliding, that he should be able to put in more sliding windows.
I think that's essentially, without being too opinionated, a non-starter for the DRB, based on our written guidelines about window and appropriate window replacement.
Yeah.
Is
And
there a
there's the portion in our code that says that when you're working on a place that you're non-contributing, you've got to bring it closer to contributing with any of your improvements. And that's not doing that.
Commissioner
And,
Scott?
is this T111 siding, is that new as well? Did they put that
Let me look
in
at the picture, John.
around the windows? Or is that pre-existing?
What do you mean, this?
That looks new to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm taking there was no permit drawn?
There's a permit for the roof, but not for anything else.
Would there be a particular recommendation you would make, given your personal or specific knowledge of this property so far and what's occurred?
I would recommend that you guys look long and hard at these windows are not compliant, and I wouldn't accept them if I, well, see, I'm giving you guys my opinion now, but I guess I am allowed to do that.
You are.
Okay,
Well, you've
I
asked
feel
for it.
bad for that, but
Yeah, we
I don't think you'd be right in approving those.
This is a hard one too, because this is a structure that is seen, you know what I mean?
It is,
It's-
it is,
It's seen
and
from
the
Main
fact that
Street, it's definitely visible.
Yeah. What would be appropriate in those long narrow windows though? I guess you could have banks of,
It would be nice if Mr. Willis was here.
So other thoughts, comments, commissioners? We're essentially in discussion at this
Yeah,
point.
would you guys like to defer and table this until next month? And have Mr. Willis come?
I think that'd be appropriate.
I'm good with that. Make a motion?
Someone want to make a motion, so the motion would be,
I'll make a motion to table application 19-25 till the next meeting, or when Robert Willis can
Present.
present his application, or be present for his application?
So just for clarification, what if that's not for the next 6
I
months?
know, I've seen your look. Okay, let me fix that. I'll make a motion to, table application 19-25 till the next meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? So, Mr. Ward, you're clear, we're simply deferring any action till the next meeting, but with the request that the applicant be here, not you as a representative for the applicant.
I agree.
No disrespect to your
I didn't, none taken.
Okay, moving right along. We are at agenda item 5. This is application 19-24 in the Bisbee Residential Historic District, non-contributing property number 233, 743 Tombstone Canyon. And the applicant, this application is seeking approval to replace an existing garage door. Is there someone here to speak to that application? Like Mr. Raby is?
Okay, I'm just proposing to switch out, it had two, there was some pictures in there where it had the two, corrugated, doors that open out, which kind of safety issue in itself. The people going down the sidewalk to run into the doors. So I'm just trying to get that thing all framed out, and just put a standard, automatic, electric operating, door, kind of like one of those panel ones there. Those are all up on Old Bay Street, all those doors I took pictures of. Okay.
Questions for the applicant? Was a question, Mark?
No, it's good.
Just checking.
It's good for me.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, no questions for you, Mr. Raby. Does that mean maybe there's a motion that someone would like to
I'll make
make?
a motion to approve application 1924 as submitted.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Okay, just a moment. Okay. And now on to agenda item 6. This is application 19-23 in the Bisbee Residential Historic District. It's contributing property number 21. Its address is 221 Brewery Avenue, and this application is seeking approval to replace a number of windows and build a small porch in the rear. We have someone to represent the application. Give us just a moment, though, if you would. Just to remind the commission members, this is an application we reviewed and voted on previously regarding the front windows on the second story of the structure, commercial structure, which we had requested an agreement from the other person, I think Mr. Hicks, that the windows would be repaired and restored.
I think this is a different building, Michael.
Is it?
Yes.
That was the comedy club.
Yes. This is not the comedy club?
No.
My bad.
This is a small place next to the Mimosa Market across from.
Oh, okay. I feel much better suddenly. Okay, thank you. My apologies to you.
The house garage.
So, if you would introduce yourself and give us a short overview?
I'm Sean Kramer, the owner of 221 Brewery Ave. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. I was here before. We had the doors put in downstairs on the home, the windows put in on the side that was approved by the DRB, and now we're progressing to the upstairs portion of the home. Previous owner had fought with the DRB relentlessly over some arch style windows that were added to the home. I guess it was quite a back and forth for some period of time. He was finally given permission to put them in. They're not period relevant, and we're seeking to replace those with period relevant windows. Same exact specs as what's been installed with the doors and the windows that are currently in the home. And that's on the southern portion. Then on the eastern facing windows, they are rotted down to popsicle sticks. Requesting obviously not to replace the casings, My window guy that I use can actually drop inserts into the original casings, and trim it out appropriately, and then put the relevant trim on those windows. Same with the northern facing, the two windows on the northern, upstairs and downstairs, requesting to put inserts in, external grids, that'll match more period relevant to what's currently existing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions for the applicant?
And then the small porch on the back. My neighbor, so that's actually his bathroom. It's encroached on our property, and we've got quite the little flooding scenario going on there. And I spoke to Bruce, who owns the property next to us, and what we want to do is just simply extend his roof line from what's there down to the edge, to our house, so that we can shed that water off of the gutter and get it out away from the property.
Yeah, I went by, actually me and Don, we were over there, and it's a tough situation as far as, water getting into the house.
Did you or any of the commissioners have questions or comments for the applicant in terms of this proposal?
You're proposing to do like a shed style roof, right?
Yeah, just a basic.
Get rid of the valley?
Yeah, tin roof to match exactly what Bruce has on his property, so it all blends in.
Yeah.
We'll paint it to match, both homes.
When were you guys planning on starting construction on that?
Haven't really decided. I was coming here to get approval and then proceed forward with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's future when you're gonna be coming in for it, is that what you're saying?
No, I want to get started on it as soon as possible.
Okay,
And the same with the windows.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not the future. It's definitely
Before monsoons?
before monsoons. Yes.
Very common.
Yep.
Other questions or comments for the applicant? Does someone want to make a motion if there's not questions or comments or requests for changes?
I'll make a motion to approve application number 19-23 as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we beat you to the punch. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Good luck getting done before monsoon season.
All right.
Thank you, Sue.
Hey, Board,
Okay, agenda item 7, as requested by the commission, an agenda item on this agenda. The English major is coming out, too many agendas here. For the board to possibly draft a letter to mayor and council requesting that they reappoint Ken Budge to the DRB. I don't know, Mr. Ward, if there's guidance that you feel you need to provide to us in terms of what's either appropriate in terms of process, or if this is something we actually have the ability to do. But probably your feedback or guidance would be helpful in terms of process. But I know that there is concern amongst commission members about what's occurred so far, and an existing commission member not being reappointed who was also serving as elected chair for our group.
there's also a provision that once a year, to go before the city council and tell them the progress that's been made that year. And it hadn't been done for a good year and a half probably. And so now would maybe be a good time to do that and to present the letter. I think it'd be appropriate there, whether they take it too serious or not would be another issue. But I think it would be appropriate. I haven't got legal counsel on that, but
Commissioner Gafford and Commissioner Sky.
Yeah, I certainly support the motion or the theme of the motion to either reappoint Mr. Budge or someone else, because I just think it's ridiculous to have only 6 members on the board. We've only 5 of us here. We've been down to 4 many times, and we've had to cancel meetings several times over the last 6 months. I mean, we're not a functioning board anymore. We need, I'm putting this for the record, but I think down the road, I would say, given the history of absenteeism on this board, we might even have an alternate beyond the 7, but that's probably going to take an act of
Yeah.
Congress. But certainly I would urge the city council to appoint, either reappoint Mr. Budge, which I'm perfectly happy with personally, or someone else if they have an issue. But do it and do it before the next meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Gafford. Commissioner Sky?
So, I think the city attorneys are missing some stuff that's in the zoning code, and this has to do with appointments and reappointments of members of boards and things like this. So one of them, let's see here. The members of the design review board will be appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the mayor and council. So obviously the council is involved in reappointment, but that hasn't been the case on this particular situation. And then, let's see, where was that? The mayor shall appoint members to the various committees, boards, and commissions after due official notice to the public, and with the consent of the council. So again, they bring the council back into it. The council's actually raised questions to this issue, and then they're shut down. And I think it's pretty clear here that it shouldn't be. The design review board is a standing committee, so that's another thing that we need to look at. This doesn't really have anything pertaining to this, is something else. But, you know, there's a few things here that I think that the city attorneys should definitely look into, because I don't think maybe they're just missing it. But I'd like
We should look into in terms of not observing what you understand to be the
yes.
process and responsibilities of the council and mayor in terms of appointment or reappointment. My understanding, just for process, is that the mayor chose not to renominate Mr. Budge. He was questioned at least at one or more city council members as to what his reason or reasons were. He declined to give any reason.
Yes.
Which was not satisfactory to some of the council members, but the ultimate result was he was not reappointed, so the person we had elected as chair was gone, and the person we had elected as vice chair had resigned just prior to that, so we had neither an elected chair or elected vice chair. And other people were nominated that the council chose not to approve for other reasons, which has us in a situation where...
But I think most of that goes back to protest against about Ken. The other reasons, I think.
In terms of those council members that were concerned about why he wasn't renominated.
Yeah.
There were some applications that never even got to council. They were denied by the mayor.
But that, he does have legal right to do that, but
It still puts us in an awkward situation. Obviously, Frank's not here. We need Ken back. I'll put that on there.
so if there is a way that we could bring this, and I guess Joel would come up with a pretty good scenario to do somewhat of an overview of what's been going on with the design review board the last year.
Okay.
Commissioner Gaffney, I think you were asking whether we...
If one of us drafted a letter, we're not going to draft it right here necessarily.
Peter, could you please put that in the mic, because we're not picking you up.
Yeah, would it be appropriate for us to draft a letter, which probably would require one or two of us to get together, which I know is allowed, but to then circulate it via you to the other members for their signature approval, and submit that to council?
If you keep it simple, since it's on the agenda, you could do it now with everybody here. The letter.
Well, we're going to get out here pretty soon, okay?
What's that?
If you can, we would like that they continue with the itinerary they have.
We're on agenda.
They're on the agenda. This is agenda item.
So,
Yeah.
7.
7.
Yeah, we're
Internal.
we moved through the agenda fairly quickly, but we do want to get some clarification on what our next steps can be. It sounds like writing a letter would be appropriate. I would tend to agree that that's something we should do outside of the meeting. If the commission's comfortable with one or two members meeting, drafting something which we can share with you all, and if you agree or have edits, then finalize. I think that would be a more expeditious way to get.
So at the next meeting, you guys would agree to it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it, understand.
I think we should nominate those two members, now, before we go to the next agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let me finish my thought.
Sorry.
So the other piece to that was Mr. Ward had recommended that since we've not done a presentation in some time to the city council and mayor, this would also be an opportunity for us to present a letter, the letter that we would draft and agree to, and also do a brief presentation to the council and mayor on what the DRB's been up to, which I think is also a good suggestion since it's something we historically should have been doing and have not. And we've got obviously a pressing concern that we want to bring to their attention as well.
And then up until now, we technically, as a board, have not voiced our opinion to council on this matter.
Well, you know, I would just say as the chair and as a member of this commission,
Not publicly.
we're also moving into an arena which is political, right? We get appointed through a political process, but the hope is that we're, with some balance and breadth of a number of commission members, where I can have a good, healthy discussion when applications come to us, make decisions that are reasoned and fair and informed. But we're now being pressed, because of the lack of action of the council and mayor, to step into what we know is a somewhat political realm. I mean, I think that's the reality of the situation. Whether the council or mayor will take to heart our concerns, we don't know, but we can at least try by both presenting this letter of concern and an update on what the DRB's activities have been and accomplishments, and what we, I think, also hope to accomplish with a full commission. I think that might educate them a bit. Maybe from that we get some movement or action.
And I said it before, and I'll say it again, it's not fair to the applicants when we don't have a full board.
I think we all agree with you. So who wants to serve, which two people would like to be the letter writers?
I'll volunteer to make the first draft.
Okay, I'm glad to review it for you if you want, or,
We'll do that.
okay? So is that agreeable to the commission?
That's beautiful.
And Mr.
Sure.
Commissioner Gaffer and I will put together a letter,
Yeah.
edit it, and then send it out via Mr. Ward.
Thank you guys for volunteering.
You're welcome.
And then we'll all vote on approval of the letter at the next meeting. Is that how we're gonna do this?
Per Mr. Ward, that's my understanding, that we need to,
I just want to nail that down.
because I think this gets into public process, and that letter then has to be available for the public to review at that meeting as well, to know what it is we're gonna then be providing to the city council.
I'm at the point where I would like to see this expedited, so is there any way to set up a special session, just so we could get a vote? I don't wanna wait a month, because I have a feeling you guys are gonna get this thing drafted up within a week. So I think it would be appropriate to do a special session,
I agree.
so that way we can get into the next council meeting.
I'm more reluctant to want to keep doing special session meetings, because I think honestly that's more disruptive for the public, because they're supposed to be giving due process to them as well. So I'm frankly less agreeable to expediting this by doing a special session meeting. We've been dealing with the situation for many months now.
But it's not too far, Mark.
Can we put it to a vote?
Sure. Of course. Make a proposal, make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to have a special session for the special letter pertaining the chair or ex-chair letter approval for the city council meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll oppose it.
Okay, motion passes.
Yeah.
So 3-2, Mr. Ward, if you can get a special session meeting booked for us. given the nature of concern about timeliness.
And any time that's good for you two. It's your one.
I'm just home painting before the rains come,
I
so
feel like I
I
just-
can make an evening
I
meeting.
feel like I just committed mutiny.
No. So we need to, but I think to have an informed meeting, we need to have as full a group as possible.
Yes.
So, are we talking in the next 2 weeks, the next week?
Week.
So if it's the next week, that's next week. So are there days that people definitely cannot make an evening meeting?
I'll make sure I can
I'll
make it.
come
So,
any day.
We need to settle this down.
This is, yeah, it's important, I think, to
I'm pretty open.
majority of the board.
so it sounds like, Mr. Ward, we're all available next week for an evening meeting, for a special session, so if you could, yes?
Could we also insist that this city-county liaison at that meeting too? Because it's the subject matter. We're missing city council liaison 4 meetings in a row now.
We can all, I believe we can all send some emails and reach out to the liaison and ask,
Okay,
them to be, I know I'll do that.
that's a good plan.
So I think if everybody shoots an email, phone call, maybe rub shoulders in public, I think then that'll put the pressure on there to.
But Commissioner Scott, you're going to take the lead to contact Councilmember
I
Johns
will.
to request that she
For sure.
prioritize making these meetings. Other commission members are encouraged to do so as well. I want to nail down a meeting day though. So would you want to just do next Wednesday, a week from today, as our special session meeting?
It's going to depend on what Nina finds is available.
But I just want to check with the commission members first, just in terms of a preference. Would next Wednesday work for all of you?
Yes.
That's fine.
Any day of the week.
Yeah.
So any day of the week, but our preference would be for next Wednesday.
You got it.
Okay, and understand that the facility has limitations, but hopefully we can be accommodated for a Wednesday meeting with a fairly short agenda.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've waited for mayor and council to clean this mess up for too long. I think it's good for us to get together as a group to try to help the situation.
And thank you guys for coming to agreement on this. It's definitely important to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Is there any other discussion or comments for agenda item 7?
No.
Okay, then we're moving on to agenda item 8. As requested, an agenda item, okay, Joe, you and I are gonna meet with my English major wonky hat. An agenda on this agenda is just not how you wanna do the English thing, okay? My English teachers always used to chide me, don't keep repeating the same word.
Tautology.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
As requested,
That's
an
redundant.
agenda item on this agenda to enable the staff liaison, Mr. Ward, to explain to the board how code violations are addressed by the city. And just to remind you to commission members, this was requested at last meeting, I believe, out of concern about what the process was for dealing with code violations, knowing that there are existing issues we see in the historic district,
It's great.
and wanted to be proactive, as in window maintenance, so we're not getting, just tearing out old windows as appraisals on a regular basis, amongst other kinds of items. So, Mr. Ward?
You know, I sent that, a response that I had sent to somebody regarding their solar panels
Yes.
that you guys had all received. And seeing that, it's like, I found that very ironic in a way, that, let me see how that was here. There we go. This was, zoning code 3.5.2E. The building inspector shall ensure that all the matters approved by the design review board are undertaken and completed according to the approval of the design review board. The building inspector is authorized and required to stop any work attempt to be done without or contrary to the approval of the design board, and shall cite any violator into magistrate court. Which is an authorization to be able to cite into court, which would be really handy to have, but I've never been given that authority by the city. And it doesn't say I may, it says I shall.
And you're reading from the planning and zoning code,
Yes.
as adopted by the council and mayor?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Or this is the zoning code is what it's called, but yeah.
So, in theory, the building inspector has that authority, and it's not an option, it's not something you may, it's something you're
It's a shall.
required to do.
Yeah.
So who is it that would give you the authority that has not to indeed do that when it would be deemed appropriate?
I think that it would be appropriate for the city manager to arrange for me to have a citation book by what we're reading here.
That's a great idea.
So it sounds like you just have.
There are the means right here. This is for not for all the zoning code, but only for design review board issues. And this is for things, any work attempt be done without or contrary to the approval of the board. So that pretty much covers what we've been looking for.
I just think it's something that, that has already been there, but maybe you didn't know about.
I didn't know because, see, what we have over in,
But Joel,
Let him finish, Commissioner Conklin. Hold that thought. Do
in
it.
3 point, well, anyway, what happens is that in violation and penalty 1.4 for, this is a general Article 1 of the zoning code, it states that any person, firm, or corporation, including the principal, owner, agent, tenant, who violates, disobeys, omits, or refuses to comply with or resists enforcement of the provisions of the zoning code shall receive a written notice citing the specific violation and a copy of the applicable code sections. Such party shall be given 30 days to correct the violation. The written notice shall include an explanation of the appeals process. The written notice shall also include a notice of the potential fine not to exceed $750 per violation if the violation continues.
So it begins with a notice of violation.
Commissioner Conklin had a question?
it almost sounds to me, Joel, that, that when you issue your stop work permits, that would be the time to,
Yeah, but I've been saying is that I've been following the enforcement, the violation and penalty portion of the zoning code, which is what I've been advised to do by attorneys. Whereas this has been over there kind of hiding in the background in a different section, saying that when the will of the design review board is violated, that I'm supposed to be issuing a citation to bring them directly into court, same as the police would if you were parking poorly or driving too fast.
Okay, Commissioner Scott.
And that would be the notice of violation?
Nope, that's a citation. That's a whole different world.
Oh, okay, so it's a totally different,
It's like a ticket the police give you. That's a citation.
okay.
there's nothing in the archives or anything that, I'm just kind of interested in that has any type of document or anything that.
No, my predecessor didn't practice any of this either, and that's what my template has been.
So maybe you'd have to take it in front of the mayor, huh?
Well, I've got to talk to the city manager is the one who runs the city, and then they answer to city. He answers to city council and mayor. But I'll bring this to the attention of the attorney and the city manager and see about getting a citation book. I think would make more sense than anything.
And I think just to keep this in sort of front and center for us as a commission, I think what would be helpful to have is when we get to agenda building, not for a special session, but in a future meeting for you to update us on your conversations and discussions with the city manager or any other appropriate people you will refer to, if that might be the city attorney, because a process has already occurred, just to remind commission members, a process has already occurred that got this into the zoning code, which went through council, went through the mayor, got adopted. So this is adopted, this isn't something.
This is law, yes.
This isn't something we're asking the mayor or council to consider. This is something they've already considered, voted on, adopted, but has not been enforced. So in my experience with regulation, way too much of it when I worked in colleges and financial aid, if you already got something on the books, right, you just haven't been enforcing it, but it's already on the books, that's usually the easiest way to get something instituted, is to simply enforce it. Ask that what's already on the books be enforced.
Yes.
Right? I have a gut feeling that this might cause some concern for some, either in the administration or in the community. So I don't want us to be so naive as to think it's just a simple slam dunk. But certainly, at the very least, if it's on the books, then I think if we can have Mr. Ward confirm and clarify that there's no issue or other reasons that he cannot indeed act in this way, and this is specifically for design review board, this is not for all planning, zoning code issues generally in the city of Bisbee, this is specific to the historic district.
But there has been proposals that the Planning and Zoning Commission is actually supposed to be working on, changing our code from this clumsy method of not having any way of accomplishing anything, this, like I said there in 1.4, to do away with the whole notice of violation in 30 days. And sometimes that is good to use, or to have, and prior to even getting the notice of violation, that the city has a policy of a friendly letter that goes to people to say, please do this for us.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes, so I have a question. With this information that you found, how would that work exactly? So they would give you a ticket book, would you come and run things by the design review board, make sure that it's a violation, and then start giving tickets, or would that just be based solely on your
independent. That would be independent of you.
I'm sorry?
That would be independent of the board.
So it would be based on the existing design review guidelines.
Okay.
That are already documented and adopted, and when the building inspector, who we've given discretion to, where it's clear and unambiguous that there's a violation, or the flip side of that is when it's clear and unambiguous that what someone's proposing falls within what our guidelines state, then he's authorized to enforce that. So as I would understand it, Mr. Ward, correct me if I'm wrong, if there was a possible violation, but it was unclear, you would bring that to the attention of the DRB.
Yes.
But if it was unambiguous and clear that it was a violation, he would simply act on that and take the appropriate action that he's already authorized to do.
The board is
Yes.
authorized to make rules beyond what's in here, to ensure that the historical authenticity or integrity of the district is maintained. So you guys are given some broad powers also that could be brought into play as needed, like we did with the sign code.
I think, Mr. Ward, just reflecting on the 3 plus years I've served on the DRB, and the kind of issues and concerns that have come up from commission members previously, and a perception that we had no teeth, or very little in the way of teeth, to enforce these adopted guidelines and design review guidelines. I mean, this is very encouraging information.
I think it's great.
But I think we need to also, from a process standpoint, let Mr. Ward do what he needs to do in terms of confirmation with the acting city manager or other people he may be referred to, that might be the city attorney or the sort. I just want to be clear in terms of process with you, Mr. Ward. This is not an issue of us bringing something before the council and mayor to reconsider. This is something that's already been on the books and adopted, but so we're talking administrative versus political.
This has the force of law.
So I think you need to have the conversations with the appropriate managers, staff, directors from an administrative standpoint to just clarify how you will implement this. That should have been implemented, but for whatever reason has not been. We are now clearly wanting to see you implement this. I don't know if you need a vote from us to make that clear, since it's already on the books. That seems redundant to me. But you need to clarify with who's appropriate, your chain of command, how to implement this. So then we know that tool is active, there aren't any other issues or concerns that are going to be raised, and then we know, generally speaking, that you're going to be acting on a regular basis to enforce these design guidelines, with that as another tool in your basket of tricks to be able to.
I think the city has been hesitant to do anything like that in the past, because when we get back into, I've known all the building inspectors going back until '91, but I know that Mike Springer issued, it was back in '96 that he probably left, I think, the city's employment, but Mike Springer, it was later than that. But anyway, but Mike Springer had issued citations. But
design review board related or design review related?
And he had generally issued citations for violations and brought them into court that way. but then for 7 years prior to my hire, there was none of that was done. So I think the city's been hesitant to do it because they don't want to run up a big magistrate bill, and they don't want anybody to go gung-ho with giving everybody citations either. But I think a little bit of enforcement goes a long ways in a small town.
I would agree, and I think you generally try to take a very measured approach to code enforcement, knowing that some of the nuances and complexities of a small town, and concerns that may get raised, either through the council and mayor or from the community generally. Are there other questions or concerns commission members have about just this process or other code enforcement concerns? In the historic district we're talking, does Commissioner Con?
Yeah, I'm totally supportive of it, and the comment that we don't have any teeth definitely rings true when it comes to this, and we get these retroactive applications and people that are definitely not abiding by the DRB, and it's disrespect to the city.
Robert Smith is very supportive of getting some changes on the books
it's
as soon as possible, not just for the DRB, but for all code enforcement, to where we could get people's attention a lot quicker and easier. But
I just want to reinforce, you've confirmed and clarified and confirmed, you have an authority already approved and adopted many years ago that simply has not been exercised for some time.
Yes.
So I don't want us to get bogged down into why. There's an authority that he has. We want to see that authority exercised, because this is a change from practice of the last so many years. He is going to need to clarify with the acting city manager and possibly others how he can implement this. And I believe, if I'm understanding from the commissioners generally, we want you at a future meeting just to confirm how you will be implementing this authority that you have. So we're clear as to how that authority can be used to reinforce and strengthen the design review standards that have been adopted.
And the feedback from the meeting that you have with the city manager, I think the board would like to know how that went.
Would you like me to secretly record it?
No, I don't think that's a place we
Just
want.
kidding, just kidding.
But either way, I think that'd be good. I don't have anything else on agenda item 8.
Okay, any questions, comments for Mr. Ward about code enforcement in the historic district? So Mr. Ward, you're clear in terms of what our expectation is. I don't think we need a motion for this. We're just asking that you follow up with the acting city manager and anyone else deemed appropriate, and then report back on at the next or the soonest available meeting where you have a clear answer.
What the process will be.
What the process will be, so we're clear as commission members on the design review board.
It's exciting.
Yes. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's always nice.
It's good. We're making changes.
Okay, so we're done with agenda item 8. Okay. We are to staff comments and administrative approval report. Mr. Ward?
I didn't go over these, I got in here at the last minute on the administrative approvals, but I think the last administrative approval that I did was the bridge that you guys were given at I think it was at our special session.
Yes.
I think that was the last one, but I'm not certain, but like I said, I didn't really have time to get in here and approve. And
commission members, you're familiar with the bridge he's talking about, that's on Tombstone,
Yeah.
just parallel to Garden Avenue.
yeah, it's 411 Garden
Yes.
Avenue.
Yes, just below.
410.
the circle.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Any comments, Mr. Ward?
Nope.
Okay. Well, now we're on to future agenda item suggestions. Any future agenda items?
Well, other than asking Mr. Ward to report back on his discussions with council and with the city manager, et cetera, et cetera.
Any other agenda items?
Well, the agenda item for the special meeting will be a discussion of
Yeah.
the,
Separate.
so technically that's an agenda.
Yeah. And of course, changing our guidelines.
Yes, let's just, I agree, we should have it as an agenda item, so we formalize how we're gonna take the
At
next
least
steps.
it's on there, and then we're
Yes.
seeing it.
Okay, any other agenda item suggestions? Seeing no other suggestions, we're at our end of our meeting. I would like to make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that for you, Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott. We are adjourned.
I've got a question for you guys, because I was out getting my zoning code, and I didn't
We are
have,
adjourned, Mr. Ward.
I can still ask a question. This doesn't have to do with anything that's on the agenda, except that I need to know who made the motion, who seconded item agenda 5. Because I went off to go get the zoning code.
And you invited me to discuss our solar panels on 117 Lockland. That must have been on the agenda because I was texted and emailed about it.
I apologize, we didn't have it on our agenda. Maybe Mr. Ward, you can help clarify for this member of the community.
Okay.
I think we should address Joel's question first.
Do we need to reopen?
I think this is just more an administrative question. We can deal with that in terms of who made the proposal for agenda item 5 and who seconded.
And I was wondering who made the motion to
And I
approve.
think for this community member's concern, it wasn't on our agenda, that's all we know. We get an agenda from Mr. Ward.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
We want to install solar panels on our roof, and they text me, the solar company said I have to appear here because it is the utility company who,
And the address was,
117 Lockland, where we live. And it's not on the main road either.
Did you put in an application?
The solar company put the
Yeah.
application.
what happened was that between Peter and I switching,
Oh, what a waste of time.
And we apologize for having your time wasted. I think the best that could be done, Mr. Ward, since we're gonna have a special session meeting next week, is that we could hopefully get that on our agenda for next week. So at least you'll have a reason to come to next week's meeting, you'll be on the agenda.
it actually cannot be,
What, Mr. Ward?
it actually cannot be on the agenda because it needs a neighborhood approval.
Oh, then you definitely need to speak. So you won't know what this timeline process is for solar panels, for when we can then get this. I apologize, but that's something Mr. Ward definitely needs to let you know about and guide you on.
They wouldn't see it.
Folks, we're done.
Yeah.
Did you make the motion?
I did.
So you made the motion?
I'll tell you.
Okay, and then you seconded. Did you second?
Yes.
So it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay.
Hello.
I like that.
You'll have to be quiet for a second, I'm stopping this.
Did you want my?
Okay, now what's the question?
It was